Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing at the edge of a long, dusty road, the kind that stretches toward the horizon with no end in sight. The air is still, not silent, but resting. The early Roman sun casts a thin golden light across your shoulders. The earth beneath your sandals is packed dry, cracked with the passing of countless feet. You are about to join the most formidable military force the ancient world has ever known, the Roman legion. You've seen the stories, discipline, power, conquests, victory parades in marble cities. But what you haven't seen, and what you're about to experience, is what it truly felt like to live as a legionary. Not just the fighting, but the training, the marching, the waiting, the aching. The endless rhythm of orders followed without question. The strict rituals of a life that no longer belongs to you, but to Rome. This isn't a tale of battlefield glory. This is a quiet walk through the slow grind of legionary life. A day not of blood and steel, but of dust and discipline, heat and hunger, repetition and resolve. A day you're unlikely to finish with ease. Because the truth is, you probably wouldn't last one full day in the Roman legion. But for now, just breathe. Let your body relax. Let your mind drift backward past the ruins, through the centuries, to the sound of boots on earth, the clink of armor, the bark of a centurion's voice, the scratch of stylus on wax, the long, dry silence of marching under an unforgiving sun. Let's begin. The morning after battle is different. There's still the usual routine, armor checks, camp duties, cooking fires, but everything moves a little slower, quieter, as though the camp itself knows it's carrying ghosts. You ache, your muscles are stiff, your ribs are bruised, but you're alive. And in the strange math of the Roman legion, that means one thing: you've earned your pay. After every engagement, centurions submit reports to the questor, the financial officer in charge of soldier wages and provisioning. The math isn't glamorous. You're due 225 denarii a year, split into 3 uneven payments. That's the base wage for a legionary, not a fortune, but better than a farmer's earnings, and paid in actual coin. Of course, deductions come first. For your food, uniform repairs, weapon upkeep. And yes, even the straw you sleep on. When it's all said and done, what ends up in your pouch feels modest. Maybe 60 to 100 denarii every 4 months. Still, it's enough to gamble with, or send home to a mother, or save for the future, if you're smart, if you survive. But money isn't the only thing the Roman state offers you. There are privileges, perks that separate you from ordinary civilians. As a legionary, you are a Roman citizen. You're protected by a Roman law. You have the right to marry, to own property, to vote, even if you won't do any of those things for years. More importantly, you're part of a brotherhood. After surviving battle, everything shifts. You see the same 8 men in your tent not just as comrades, but as the reason you're breathing. The man who shielded your flank, the one who pulled you back when you stumbled, the one who said nothing but stood beside you in the blood and mist. It's not friendship, exactly. It's deeper than that, more primal. And this bond comes with benefits. You'll share gear. Look out for each other when rations are thin. Cover each other's backs during inspections. Joke, argue, fight, laugh. And when needed, mourn. It's what keeps you human. Then there's the long view, the promise that after 25 years of service, you'll be rewarded not just with freedom, but with land. Yes, land. Rome doesn't forget its veterans, at least not officially. Upon honorable discharge, you're entitled to a grant, a modest parcel of farmland somewhere in a Roman colony, usually in the provinces. Enough to build a house, raise a family. Live out your days with a pension and a back, no longer carrying a scutum. This is the dream that keeps many men going. It's why you train even when your arms tremble. It's why you keep marching even when your feet bleed. It's why you don't complain, at least not too loudly, when the rations run thin or the commander forgets your name. Because one day, this will all end, and when it does, you'll be something rare. A Ramen veteran. You'll have status. You'll be honored at temples and marketplaces. People will respect the scars on your arms. Children will ask about your time in Germania. Strangers will call you Miles Emeritus, Soldier of Honor. But this dream isn't guaranteed. Wounds, disease, political shifts, all of these can cut a career short. Some men lose limbs and are discharged early with partial pensions. Others disappear in foreign campaigns, their names recorded only on wax tablets that crumble in time. Still you believe. You have to believe. Because the alternative, a life of nothing but marching and fighting, ending in an anonymous grave far from home, is too grim to accept. Some soldiers do better than others. Centurions, for example, earn 5 to 10 times your wage. They have their own tents, their own servants. They dine better, dress finer. If you're brave, skilled, and politically sharp, maybe you'll be promoted someday. Then there are the auxiliaries, the non-citizen troops who fight alongside you. They earn slightly less, wear different armor, and do much of the dirty work. Scouting, engineering, manning far-flung outposts. But if they survive, they're granted citizenship upon discharge. That, too, is a powerful prize, and you? You're somewhere in the middle. A cog in the machine, a number in the roll call. But a Romang all the same, paid, trained, protected. You dream of your future farm sometimes, not vividly, just flickers, a quiet valley. A wooden house, a woman smiling, children chasing geese. The kind of life that sounds impossible from inside a cramped, muddy tent full of snoring men. But that's the thing about legionary life. It teaches you to endure now for a better later. And every coin you tuck away, every battle you survive, every inspection you pass, every punishment you avoid, it all inches you closer to that distant patch of dirt under a sun that won't demand your sword. For now, though, your gladius stays sharp, because retirement is a long march away, and Rome still has wars to win. The mist still clings to the fields when the column halts. It's quite eerily so. You can't see the enemy yet, but you can feel them. They're out there, just beyond the ridge, just behind the trees. Maybe they're watching you right now, crouched in silence, preparing to charge. The centurion signals for formation. Your cohort moves without hesitation. Shields clatter into place. Boots stomp the dirt into rhythm. You form up in the classic Roman style, a triple line, the famous triplex aces. Each rank staggered for coverage, the front filled with veterans and steady hands. Your cohort is in the second line today, reserve, support. But don't let that fool you. You're going to fight. You will fight. The command structure unfolds like clockwork. The legate stands behind the formation, high on a horse. The tribunes relay his orders to the centurions, who walk the lines with their vine staffs, their expressions like carved marble. One centurion makes a joke, something crude, something about goats and Germans. You don't hear the punchline. You're too busy trying to control your breathing. Your palms are sweating inside your gauntlets. You glance down. Your sword is still sheathed. Your pilum is gripped tightly in your hand. Your shield is heavy, but it feels small now, like a door made of paper. Then a sound, drums, horns. Not yours. The enemy has arrived. They crest the ridge with wild screams. Hair flying, weapons raised, painted faces howling like wolves. They don't march, they charge. A tidal wave of fury and noise rushing toward your front line. This is it. You grip your pilum. Your unit commander raises his arm. Now. You and every soldier in the front 2 lines hurl your javelins with all your strength. The air is filled with the whistle of death. Dozens of pila arc through the mist and strike the enemy with devastating impact. Shields shatter. Men fall. The charge stutters, but doesn't stop. They're still coming. And now, your front line draws swords. Steel meets flesh. The enemy crashes into your line like a hammer on stone. Your comrades in front brace with shields. The gladius goes to work, not slashing, but stabbing. Quick, efficient, brutal. You can barely see past the wall of shields in front of you, but you can hear it all. Grunts, screams, the thud of metal, the crunch of bone. The man to your left tightens his grip. He's younger than you. His lips are moving, probably a prayer. Or a name. Your centurion points at the flank. Advance. Your second line moves forward. You're in motion before your mind can catch up. You pass the bodies of the first dead, friend and foe alike. You step in blood. You try not to look at the eyes of the man staring up at the sky with an open mouth and a javelin through his chest. You join the melee, and suddenly nothing else exists. It's not a movie. There's no slow motion, no heroic shouts. Just noise and chaos and pain. You swing your sword. You stab at shadows. You barely register the man who lunges at you with a rusted axe. You raise your shield. The impact jars your entire body. You counter with a thrust. Your blade finds his stomach. He falls. You're not proud. You're not even relieved. There's no time for that. Another warrior charges at your side. He's shouting something you don't understand. His beard is matted with spit. He raises his spear and disappears under the weight of a shield bash from your comrade. The formation holds. This is where the discipline of the Roman legion shows its worth. While the enemy fights as individuals, brave but chaotic, you fight as one. Cohesion, precision, timing. Your line doesn't break. When a man falls, another steps into his place. Minutes pass, or hours. You lose track of time. Your ears ring, your arm is numb, your shield is dented. Your tunic is sticky with blood, some of it yours, most of it not. And then finally, a horn sounds. Retreat? No, pursuit. The enemy is breaking. The charge has failed. Their fury has scattered. They're turning, running, limping away through the field. You chase not far, not recklessly, just enough to drive the point home. And then, just as suddenly, it's over. The battlefield is quiet. Men groan, some cry. The crows are already circling. You fall to your knees. You've survived your first battle. And it doesn't feel like a victory, not really. It feels like waking up after a nightmare, dazed, shaking, not entirely sure you're still alive. You rise. You gather your weapons. You help lift a wounded friend onto a stretcher. You make eye contact with a man you barely know and nod once. That's all it takes. A shared moment, a silent bond. Back at the temporary camp, the mood is strange, muted. No songs. No celebration. Just repairs. Dressing wounds. Counting the dead. The silence doesn't break. It shatters. It begins with the sharp, unmistakable cry of the buccina, a twisted horn that cuts through the afternoon like a blade. One note, held long. Then two, then three. Every soldier in camp stops what they're doing. A few seconds pass, then the shouts begin. Orders barked by centurions, heavy boots thudding on dirt, tents rustling, weapons clattering. The entire camp shifts, not in panic, but in perfect practice precision. You don't have to ask what's happening. You already know. Battle orders have arrived. A rider brought them in, dusty and breathless, cloak still damp from river spray, horse lathered in sweat. He's not a regular messenger. He's a speculator, an elite courier scout. That means the situation is serious, immediate. The legate has summoned the entire cohort. You gather with your unit in the parade ground. No one speaks. Everyone listens. A barbarian force has been spotted near the border river, the legate says. We march before sunrise. That's all. No dramatic speeches, no promises of glory, just a fact, a statement, a command. You return to your tent. There's a strange energy in the air, not excitement, not fear, but something between the two. It crackles in the way soldiers pack their kits. It hums in the way voices drop to murmurs. You begin inspecting your armor with the intensity of a man polishing his own fate. Your lorica segmentata, plate armor, is scrubbed clean of rust. Your gladius is sharpened. You check the stitching on your sandals. You make sure your pilum isn't warped. Every buckle, every strap, every rivet must be ready. Because tomorrow, everything gets tested. There's no drill to follow, no. No centurion directing your next move. You just prepare. The rest of the day moves slowly. You're told to rest, but no one really does. A few lie down and stare at the ceiling of the tent, eyes blank. Others pace quietly. Some pray. To Mars, to Jupiter. To any god who might be listening, or to none at all. The cook prepares a thicker stew tonight. Lentils, onions, salted pork. It's warm, hearty. You eat it slowly, tasting every bite like it might be your last. Because it might be. Outside, a few soldiers swap stories. They talk about past battles. Some boast, others are silent. One man says nothing all evening. He just sharpens his blade until it gleams like silver. You lie on your back and stare up at the stars. You remember how different your life used to be. Maybe you were a farmer, a shepherd, a thief. Maybe you joined the Legion for money or land or to escape something. Now you're here. Now you march toward war. You don't know much about the enemy. Only that they're fierce, fast, probably tribal. The scouts said they number a few hundred. Maybe more, maybe less. That's the problem with scouts. Their numbers always come wrapped in a shrug. The important thing is this. They're close, and tomorrow you're going to meet them. You try to sleep, but sleep doesn't come easily the night before battle. Your body is exhausted, but your mind loops endlessly, imagining every possibility, every clash of steel, every mistake. You think about where you'll stand in formation. You think about whether you'll remember your drills. You wonder what dying feels like. You wonder if you'll cry. You wonder if it'll hurt. You wonder who'll carry your pack if you don't come back. And then at some point in the darkness, exhaustion wins. You slip into shallow sleep. It doesn't last long. The horn blows again. Still dark, still cold, but now it's real. This is it. You rise, armor cold against your skin. You dress quickly. You eat a hunk of bread in silence. You sling your pack over your shoulder. You grab your sword, your javelin, your shield. Outside, torches flicker as the camp stirs to life. Columns form, standards are raised, centurions count heads. The optio shouts roll calls. A priest moves among the ranks, waving incense and muttering Latin invocations to Mars. You stand in formation, helmet on, shield at your side, sword sheathed. The weight of it all, armor, expectations, reality, presses into your chest. You look around. Thousands of men, all breathing the same cold air, all wondering the same things. A few are whispering last messages to no one in particular. A few are staring at nothing. One man is trembling. No one mocks him. The command is given. March. And so you do. The column snakes out of the camp and onto the road. No talking now. Just footsteps and breathing and the soft clatter of gear. The sky is still black, but a line of gray is rising in the east. Dawn is coming. And with it, a day that none of you will ever forget, whether you live to tell the tale or not. The movies make it seem like being a Roman legionary meant constant war, glorious battles, epic conquests, clashing swords every week. But here's the quiet truth. Most of your time was spent waiting for orders, waiting to march, waiting to build the next camp, waiting for battle, waiting mostly for anything to happen at all. And during those long stretches, life as a Roman soldier wasn't exciting. It was ... routine, mundane, occasionally absurd, and always deeply structured. It's been 2 weeks since your last major march. Your unit has been stationed at a temporary fort just east of the frontier. You're not on campaign. You're just holding position, watching, preparing, maintaining readiness. You still wake at dawn. You still eat barley mush for breakfast. You still train daily, sometimes with weapons, sometimes in formation, sometimes hauling supplies or digging ditches just for practice. The idea is simple: stay sharp or soften and die. But when drills end and the work is done, you're left with something far more dangerous than enemy blades: free time. And that's where the real test begins. Because boredom in a Roman camp is like a fire without a flame. It smolders quietly beneath the surface. At first, it feels like relief. A stolen hour beneath the sun. A moment to rest, to breathe, to clean your gear without urgency. But then it stretches, it grows. It creeps into the hours after dinner, into the spaces between patrols, into the minutes before sleep. And not everyone handles it well. Some soldiers carve wood, making figurines, trinkets, or game pieces. Others gamble. Dice games are popular, often loud, sometimes tense. Arguments break out over unfair rolls, unfair debts. A few fists fly. The centurions watch, and if it doesn't escalate, they let it play out, but only once. A second offense means punishment. You pass the time by playing Ludus Latrunculorum, a Roman board game, something like chess or checkers. The goal is to capture enemy pieces by flanking them. It's a game of patience. Tactics, discipline, which, come to think of it, is very Roman. You carve your own board onto a plank of wood. The pieces are pebbles and worn down bones. A friend across the tent plays you daily. He wins more than you do. You pretend not to mind. Others write letters or try to. Wax tablets and styluses are passed around, often clumsily. Literacy is common but not universal. Some dictate letters to others, reciting slow Latin phrases. Tell my wife the barley's awful. Tell my son I still have both arms. The messages are simple, often hopeful, but they're rarely answered quickly. The empire is vast. Mail travels slower than disease. There's music, too, of a kind. One soldier plays a small flute carved from reed. The tunes are soft, repetitive, almost hypnotic. He only knows a few melodies, but in a world of barking centurions and marching boots, any music is a gift. You close your eyes while he plays, and for a moment, you're not in the Legion. You're somewhere else. Somewhere quieter. Then someone drops a pot and the illusion breaks. On some days, the camp buzzes with stories, rumors of a coming campaign, whispers about barbarian raids, gossip about a tribune's scandalous affair. It's mostly nonsense, but it passes the time. You learn the rhythms of your tent mates, who snores, who sings in their sleep, who gets twitchy before drills, who has a hidden stash of dried fruit. You share gear. You swap duties. You look out for each other. Because if there's one thing more dangerous than boredom, it's isolation. And so camaraderie becomes survival. A soldier named Gaius teaches you a dirty song in Gaulish. Another, Lucius, tells endless stories about his imaginary girlfriend in Rome. You know he's making her up. He knows you know. That's not the point. You become a family of inconvenience, 8 strangers who share sweat, blisters, and bitter soup. You argue. You laugh. You sit in silence together. You exist. There are moments, rare but real, of joy. A warm afternoon with no drills. A passing merchant selling sweet wine. A letter from home that actually arrives. A night when the stars shine so clearly that even the most hardened centurion pauses to stare up. But not all soldiers are content. Some drink too much. Posca, the sour wine and vinegar mix given to legionaries, is cheap and numbing. After 2 or 3 cups, the complaints begin. The fear seeps out. You hear mutters about lost battles, lost brothers, wasted lives. Some men desert. Not many, not successfully at least, but it happens. especially during long periods of inactivity. They slip away at night, taking their packs and their sandals, hoping to vanish into the woods or blend into a distant town. Most are caught. The punishments are brutal. We've already seen that. So the rest of you stay, you endure. You wait. You start counting things you never noticed before. The number of rivets on your armor, the cracks in your scutum, the times the centurion scratches his neck during inspection. You learn how long it takes barley to boil. You learn the names of every minor officer in your cohort. You learn that boredom can be heavy, crushing, like a different kind of armor. But the Roman legion doesn't view boredom as a flaw. It views it as a test. If you can endure the silence, the sameness, the aching repetition, then you're ready for what comes next. Because eventually something always comes next. One afternoon, while oiling your sword, the buccina horn blows a new pattern. A centurion shouts, orders arrive. Your unit is mobilizing. And just like that, the waiting is over. The next phase begins. The legion does not tolerate weakness, nor does it tolerate disobedience, delay, or even a sloppy strap on a sandal. Roman discipline isn't just about strength, it's about fear. Not of battle, but of punishment. Because for the Roman soldier, pain is a teacher, and mercy is not part of the curriculum. And so, as another pale dawn breaks over the camp, you awake not just to fatigue, but to a low, cold dread that sits at the base of your stomach. You've heard rumors that a man from the third cohort dropped his pilum during drills, or worse, cursed the centurion under his breath. No one knows for certain, but by mid-morning, it's clear something is about to happen. The entire legion is assembled in the camp's open courtyard, thousands of men arranged in blocks, standing shoulder to shoulder beneath a rising sun, helmets on. Shields at their sides, no talking, only the sound of banners flapping in the breeze and the occasional creak of leather straps. At the center stands the legate, the commanding officer in his polished cuirass and crimson cloak. At his side, the centurions, faces hard, vine staffs in hand. Behind them, a single soldier kneels, arms bound, head lowered. He's young. You recognize him vaguely, dark hair, quiet eyes, from one of the newer recruits. He looks no different from you, really. And that's what makes this worse. The legate raises a hand. The murmurs die instantly. This man has committed an act of insubordination, he says. His voice is calm, clear. He refused an order. He disrespected his centurion. For this, he will be punished. The punishment today is fustuarium, a word that chills the spine of every Roman soldier. Because fustuarium isn't a simple whipping or confinement. It is execution by the unit, a form of collective punishment used to reinforce total obedience. For crimes such as desertion, theft, or mutiny, the condemned is beaten to death by his own fellow soldiers. Today, though, it's not the full sentence. He won't be killed, but he will be made an example. The centurion steps forward, raises his vine staff, and strikes. The blow lands with a sickening crack against the recruit's back. He grunts, not a scream, just a grunt, and the line doesn't move. The centurion strikes again and again. Other centurions follow. The punishment continues until the man can no longer kneel. He collapses face down into the dust, bleeding and silent. 2 soldiers lift him under the arms and drag him away. He will live. Probably. You do not look away, because in the Roman legion, you do not forget. And that is the point. Even the smallest misstep, a misformation, a lost piece of gear, speaking out of turn, can result in lashes, extra watches, or denial of rations. More serious offenses mean public humiliation, branding, or forced labor. And for the most severe crimes, there is decimation. If a unit is found guilty of cowardice, mutiny, or desertion, even as a group, the punishment is simple and terrible. The unit is divided into groups of 10. Each group draws lots. The man who draws the short straw is beaten to death by the other 9. No trial, no appeal. Just a lesson written in blood. It's an old practice, rarely used in your time, but everyone knows about it. It's part of the shared fear, part of the atmosphere that hangs over every command, every whistle, every clash of shield and sword and training. Your stomach tightens, not out of guilt, you've done nothing wrong, but out of a deep animal understanding that you are not in control here. Your body is yours, but your fate belongs to the machine. And the machine does not hesitate to correct a malfunction. After the punishment ends, training resumes as if nothing happened. You're back on the practice field, sword in hand, feet in the dust, but your thoughts drift. You glance to your left, the post where the punished recruit usually stood is empty. You don't know where he's gone, you don't ask. Your centurion notices your distraction. He doesn't say a word. Instead, he walks over, raises his vitus, and cracks it once across the top of your shield. The sound startles you. Your grip tightens. You reset your stance. The message is clear. Focus. Always focus. In the Roman army, punishment is not just about pain. It's about conditioning. You're being shaped like stone under a chisel. The rough parts knocked away, the smooth parts hardened. Later that night, after mess, the camp is quiet. A few men speak softly near the fire. One jokes dryly about marching all the way back to Britannia just to escape latrine duty. The others laugh. But behind their eyes is a flicker of caution. No one wants to end up like the recruit from this morning. You lie on your mat, muscles sore, body still. But your mind lingers on the scene, not the pain, not the blood, but the silence, the cold, obedient silence of the men standing around him. You're beginning to understand something very Roman, very deep. It isn't just fear that keeps the legion moving. It's the knowledge that nothing is ever truly yours here. Not your time, not your comfort, not even your name once your number is called. You belong to the order. And the order does not forgive. The stars may be fading, but your sleep has already been broken. You were on second watch last night, standing in the dark, helmet on, eyes scanning the tree line just beyond the palisade. The wind was sharp, the quiet oppressive. No danger appeared, no enemies approached, but the tension never left your body. You stood in stillness for hours, heart ticking like a metronome, feet chilled against the earth. Now, just after dawn, you're awake again. Because today is not a rest day. Not in the Roman Legion. There's no such thing. Today is for training. And if you thought marching for 18 miles and digging defensive fortifications was grueling, wait until you rehanded a sword of double weight and told to spar until your arms tremble and your fingers go numb. Training is not a sideshow in legionary life. It is the core of it, more than glory, more than battle. It is routine, discipline, and control, sharpened to a point. You rise from your bedroll, joints stiff. The other men in your tent stir as well, equally silent. Everyone knows what's coming. After a cold rinse from the communal water barrel and another bowl of barley gruel, you report to the training ground, a flat, open space just outside the camp's western boundary, trampled smooth from constant use. Here, wooden posts rise from the earth, poly, worn, and battered, their surfaces split from 1,000 strikes. You stand in formation. The centurion waits. He's not in armor today. He doesn't need to be. His presence alone commands attention. He walks the line slowly, eyeing every soldier. His vine staff, Vitus, rests in his hand. He taps it idly against his leg. Then comes the barked command. Arm yourselves. You move. Each of you retrieves a wooden sword called a rudis. It's not for show. It's heavier than your actual blade, deliberately so. Swinging it builds strength, endurance, and control. Along with it, you take up a wooden shield, also heavier and larger than the one you carry in battle. Today's drill is straightforward. Thrust, recover, slash, recover. Step, stab, withdraw, again, and again, and again. The centurion doesn't count reps. You go until he says stop. The post in front of you is your enemy. It doesn't strike back, but it doesn't yield either. You lunge forward, driving the wooden blade into the center mass, just under where a ribcage would be. The impact reverberates up your arm. You pull back, reset, then do it again. The routine begins to blur. Strike, pull, step, slash. Sweat rolls down your brow. Your arms begin to ache. Your breathing grows ragged. But no one stops. To pause is to be noticed, and to be noticed is dangerous. Because discipline is not taught gently in the Legion. It is enforced, publicly, loudly, painfully. If your posture slips, your guard drops, or your timing falters, the option is on you in seconds. He doesn't explain what you did wrong. He corrects you with his voice, his glare, and sometimes his staff. And if you make a real mistake, dropping your sword, stepping out of formation, striking out of rhythm, you may earn lashes. It's not considered cruel. It's considered ramang. You are not a person here. You're a piece of the machine. A testudo is only as strong as its weakest plate. A formation only holds if every soldier does his part. And so you are taught by repetition, sweat, bruises, and pain to become exact. By mid-morning, the drills intensify. You pair off now, two soldiers facing each other. Still with wooden swords, still under close supervision. Your partner is a wiry veteran from Hispania. He's missing 2 teeth and has a crooked nose that never healed quite right. He doesn't speak much, but when he does, it's in short, sharp Latin. You lead first, he mutters. You nod and step forward. A quick feint, a slash across the torso, blocked. You pivot for a thrust. He dodges and counters with a thud that catches your ribs. The centurion watches. He doesn't care who wins. He cares that both of you learn. You go on like this for nearly an hour, taking turns, trading blows, losing breath. Wooden blades striking shields, thighs, shoulders. Splinters fly, skin bruises. One soldier nearby is too slow. His partner knocks him down with a shield bash. The centurion doesn't help him up. He just stands over him and says, "If that were a Germanic spear, you'd be dead." And then he moves on. By the time you're dismissed, your arms are jelly. You've marched 18 miles. You're covered in dust. Your tunic is soaked with sweat. Your shoulders are raw from the weight of your pack. And your legs tremble slightly when you stand still for too long. Naturally, this is the perfect time to start digging trenches, because the Roman legion doesn't just camp. It builds every single night. Whether the army is in hostile territory or friendly lands, whether they're on campaign or merely relocating, they never sleep in the open. Safety is not assumed. Comfort is not expected, and time off, that's for civilians. So the command comes with military clarity. Castro Poneri, establish the camp. The site has already been chosen by scouts and engineers earlier in the day. It's a flat stretch of ground, perhaps a gently sloped field or a wide plateau near a water source. But it's still wild, unprotected, and that will not do. Every soldier in your contubernium, your squad of 8, knows what must be done, no instructions needed. You've done this hundreds of times in training. You'll do it hundreds more if you last that long. First comes the trenching. Each contubernium is assigned a section of the camp perimeter. You reach into your gear and pull out your delabra, the Roman soldier's multi-purpose tool, half pickaxe, half mattock. It's heavy, worn, and very effective. You start swinging. The trench will be about 3 feet deep and 5 feet wide, carved into the hard-packed soil, stretching all around the rectangular camp. It's called the fossa, and it's both a defensive ditch and the foundation for the next phase. The pick bites into the dirt. You swing again and again. The soil is dry and the work is slow, but you don't stop. No one does. Behind you, another soldier follows with a shovel, tossing the dirt to the inside of the perimeter. This will become the adger, the raised embankment where you'll place the wall. This entire task takes hours. You wipe your brow with a sleeve already soaked. Your arms ache, your hands sting. You try to remember the last time you sat down. You can't. Eventually, the trench is complete. You move on to phase 2, the palisade. Each contubernium is responsible for carrying a small number of sharpened wooden stakes called suits. These aren't decorative, they're your walls. The stakes are jammed into the adger, closely spaced and angled slightly outward, designed to deter climbing, jumping, and charging. It's not a pretty fence. It's a bristling barrier of hostility. By now, the sun is low on the horizon. Your stomach growls, your back spasms slightly when you bend, and your sandals are caked in dry mud, but the camp is taking shape. Inside the perimeter, order reigns. Roman camps aren't random collections of tents. They're laid out like temporary cities with a precision that borders on obsession. Straight rows, identical measurements. Defined streets. Your tent goes in the same place it did yesterday, and the day before, neatly lined up with the others. 10 soldiers to a tent, arranged by century and cohort, always in the same pattern so that everyone knows exactly where they belong. At the center of the camp stands the praetorium, the general's tent, and beside it, the principia, the administrative hub. These are the heart of the camp, flanked by supply tents, armories, and granaries, all of it temporary. All of it ready to be taken down and built again tomorrow. Once your section of the wall is up and your trench has been inspected by the optio, you're allowed to set up your tent. It's not glamorous. Made of tough leather and heavy as a wet sponge, the tent is slung over wooden poles and pegged into the ground with ropes and stakes. You and your squad work silently, moving like parts of a well-oiled mechanism. No one wants to be the one who slows things down. With the tent finally standing, you lay out your bedroll, a thin mat stuffed with straw and barely softer than the ground beneath it. Your back is sore. Your feet are blistered, but the camp is finally functional, almost. There's still the latrine to dig. Yes, even now. A short walk outside the camp walls, a narrow trench is cut into the earth, deep enough to accommodate the evening's needs. Simple wooden planks serve as seats, and buckets of ash and vinegar are prepared to reduce the stench. It's unpleasant work, but it's vital. Poor sanitation kills more soldiers than swords ever will. By the time this final task is completed, the sky is painted in streaks of gold and purple. Fires flicker in the center of the camp. A pot of barley soup simmers nearby. The air smells of smoke and roasted grain. Someone strums a quiet tune on a lyre. You barely hear it over the throb in your legs. You sit down slowly, carefully. Your knees crack audibly. Your dinner is simple: barley stew, a hunk of bread, a few olives. You eat slowly, chewing every bite like it matters. You wash it down with watered wine, tepid but soothing. Around you, the camp settles. The day is almost over, almost. Because before anyone can sleep, the watch assignments are handed out. Each night is divided into 4 watches, or vigili, and someone from each contubernium must be on guard during every one. The schedule rotates, but if you drew second or third watch today, that means sleeping in snatches, waking in the cold, standing in the dark. Your squad's name is called. You've got second watch, roughly from 9 p.m. to midnight. You sigh, of course. You clean your gear, rub a bit of oil into your sword blade, and remove your sandals. You press your feet against the cool earth and exhale deeply. The stars begin to shine overhead. Somewhere beyond the walls, a wolf howls faintly. You've built the camp. You've eaten. You'll rest, briefly. But sleep in the Roman legion is never deep, never long, and never guaranteed. The column begins to move, not with drama, not with trumpets or banners fluttering in the wind, just the low, Rhythmic crunch of hundreds of hobnailed sandals pressing into dirt, gravel, and road. You adjust your grip on the furca pole slung across your shoulder. It digs in already, barely 5 minutes in. This is the Roman March, and it's not the cinematic, glory-soaked journey from one battlefield to another. This is the daily ritual of movement, the lifeblood of the empire's expansion, roads carved into the earth, measured not by beauty or ease, but by the sheer efficiency of Roman boot leather pounding them into permanence. Today's route is 20 Roman miles. That's about 18 modern miles, or nearly 30 kilometers. Not on soft grass or level terrain, but across dry, sun-baked dirt and uneven flagstones, sometimes muddy, sometimes uphill. All of it while wearing your armor and carrying roughly 60 to 70 pounds of equipment. You're flanked on all sides by your fellow legionaries, the same faces you sleep beside, train beside, eat beside. No one speaks. Talking is discouraged during the march, especially early. You're expected to conserve your breath, save your focus. There's a rhythm to it, a four-step cadence, not too fast, not too slow. The centurion rides ahead on horseback, while your optio paces the flank, ensuring no one lags behind. His staff taps the ground occasionally, sometimes to adjust someone's posture, sometimes just to remind everyone he's watching. The first hour is always the hardest. Your pack begins to bite into your shoulder. The scudam's edge rubs your arm raw. The Gallia helmet bounces slightly with every step. You adjust your chin strap again, then again. Sweat starts to bead at the base of your neck. You pass a marker, a small stone etched with a numeral. That's just 1 mile, 19 to go. You try not to count. The terrain changes. The dusty road gives way to rough paving stones, remnants of the Via Flaminia, maybe, or a local spur built decades ago. Either way, it's uneven and hard. Your ankles begin to feel the jolt of every step. You begin to appreciate how clever Roman roads are and how unforgiving. Now and then, a wagon rumbles past, pulled by mules or oxen, carrying heavier supplies, tents, rations, construction tools, or siege equipment. You're grateful you're not pulling one, but part of you envies the driver, seated under a canopy of shade. The march pauses briefly at mile 4. Not a break, just a quick check. The centurion dismounts and walks the line. He inspects armor straps, hydration, the state of packs. A soldier near you, eyes glassy from lack of sleep, wobbles a little too visibly. The centurion stops, raises an eyebrow, and, without ceremony, hands him a shovel. The message is clear. You faint, you dig. Either a trench for the camp or one for yourself. The soldier straightens immediately. The march resumes. You've loosened your belt twice, tightened it again once. You're not even sure why. The sun is climbing now. The early chill is gone, replaced by heat creeping up through the soles of your sandals. The dust kicked up by your comrades becomes a film on your skin, coating your forearms, your throat, your teeth. You cough, once, quietly. Behind you, someone stumbles. A loose rock, a stray root. You don't turn to look. The column doesn't stop. You march. Water is rationed, sips, not gulps. You raise your skin and let a few drops fall onto your tongue. They vanish immediately. You allow yourself a brief moment to close your eyes, inhale slowly, and reset your breathing. One foot, then the other, then again. You pass mile 10 before midday. Halfway, normally this would earn a proper break. But today, the terrain is less forgiving. The road dips into a ravine, then rises sharply uphill. You can see the line of soldiers zigzagging like ants up the slope. The centurion raises his arm and motions forward. No rest, not yet. The climb is cruel. The weight of your armor pulls you backward. Your thighs burn. The shield on your back presses against your ribs with every step. Someone ahead groans audibly, a mistake. The optio is there in seconds, barking a rebuke. Silence, strength. You don't respond. You just keep climbing. At the top, the order finally comes. Rest. 10 minutes. You sink to the ground with a grateful sigh, carefully. No sudden movements, or your calves will cramp. You remove your pack, but leave your armor on. It's too much trouble to strip it off for such a short rest. You eat dried figs and salted pork, tough and leathery. You chew slowly, eyes half closed, listening to the sound of breathing. Some soldiers stretch. Others just sit with their eyes on the horizon, waiting for the next command. The break ends too soon. You rise again. The next few miles are quieter in your head. You've entered the marching trance, the zone where thought fades and the body takes over. One step, one breath, one shift of the pack. The discomfort is no longer new. It's just you now, you and the road. At mile 15, a signpost points toward a small village, one you'll bypass completely. Civilians sometimes gather to watch the Legion pass. Children wave, old men nod in respect. You don't wave back. You're not permitted to break formation. At mile 17, the standard rises, the silver eagle glinting in the afternoon light. That means the day's end is near. The first thing you notice is the cold. It bites before the sun rises, not sharp, not painful, but present. A low, insistent chill that settles into your limbs as you pull the blanket tighter around your shoulders. You're lying on a straw-stuffed mattress inside a leather tent shared with 7 other soldiers. The smell of sweat, dust, and worn leather hangs in the air, made heavier by the presence of unwashed feet and heavy wool tunics. You've barely stirred before it begins, the call to wake. A single buccina, a curved brass horn, rings out in the pre-dawn dark. Its tone is deep, brassy, and unmistakable. You groan before you're fully awake. The sound doesn't ask, it commands. The man beside you, a veteran of many marshes, is already sitting up. He mutters something about cold soup and sore knees, then begins strapping on his sandals. He doesn't complain. No one does. Complaining has consequences. You rub your eyes, stretch your legs, and sit up. The air outside the tent is still gray-blue with night, and the camp is already moving. The camp is always moving, because Roman legions didn't sleep in towns or cozy forts most nights. They built their own camps, every night, everywhere. Trenches dug, palisades raised, tents erected in rows, as orderly as city blocks. The camp is a living machine, and you're just one cog inside it. Your first task is simple: dress. You pull on your wool tunic, itchy, plain, the color of dust. Over that, the subarmalus, a padded vest meant to protect your shoulders from the rub of metal armor. Then the armor itself, segmented plates, or larica segmentata, carefully buckled, the iron chilled from the night air. Each strap bites your skin just a little. Beneath your breath, you curse softly, but not loud enough for the centurion to hear. Then the belt, singula militare, with its metal studs and jangling apron of plates. It marks you as a soldier. Without it, you are just a man in a tunic. Boots next. Caligay, heavy-soled sandals with hobnails hammered into the bottoms for grip. Comfortable, they are not. And finally, your gear. The helmet Gallia, with its thick cheek guards and crested top. You strap it under your chin, adjusting the fit as best you can. Your shield, scutum, a tall, curved rectangle of wood, leather, and iron. On your back, the pack, a long pole slung across your shoulder called a furca, carrying your cooking pot, rations, tools, and spare clothing. The total weight you carry today? Nearly 30 kilograms, and you haven't even had breakfast. Speaking of food, you open your leather pouch. Inside, a handful of hard, dry biscuits, buccellatum. They don't crumble. They snap. You chew slowly, silently, eyes half-lidded. The grain is coarse. The flavor is nil. Someone nearby is already boiling water over a small fire. No meat today. Just porridge, made from barley. 1 spoonful, maybe 2. Across the camp, the centurion's voice cuts through the morning like a blade. Legionaries, to formation. You move quickly, instinctively. Armor clanks. Shields thump. Boots strike the packed earth. Your cohort begins to form up in ranks, 10 across, 10 deep. Every movement is measured. You don't speak. You don't look around. You just focus on not being the last one in place because the centurion is watching. He always is. He stands at the front, arms folded, his vine staff tucked beneath one elbow. He says nothing for a moment, letting the silence stretch. Then, today we march. No one groans, no one sighs. That would earn the vitus, the vine stick, across your back or legs. You adjust your grip on the shield. The straps dig into your forearm. Your fingers tingle slightly from yesterday's drills. But you know better than to shift your stance. You hold. The optio, the centurion's second in command, moves along the line checking gear. One soldier's pack hangs low. The optio fixes it with a swift practice jerk. Another has a strap loose, a warning, then a correction. Everything must be perfect. Because Rome doesn't tolerate slackers, not in its legions, not in its heartbeat, not in its machine. Above, the sky lightens, not quite gold, but pale, bruised lavender. A bird calls somewhere in the trees beyond the trench. The wind carries the scent of pine, sweat, and last night's firewood. The buccina sounds again, time to march. You take your first step of the day, not toward battle, but toward exhaustion. And the day has only just begun.